This is going to be a couple videos at first, and if it seems like it appeals to people, I'll go more in depth into it. Quite often you see me post about scanning every pair on every time frame, and it might sound complicated. It's not. You're looking at it right here. I'm going to go through this, and I'm going to take one of the most difficult ones at first. Absolutely the most difficult one at first, probably, no doubt. So it should get easier from there, and you should be able to, you can see what, look, I even skip spaces and I don't have 40 lines of code, and they're just little bitty short lines, and some of it like this is not even relevant. You can memorize this, and you should be able to memorize it. You should be able to write code in your mind, and it might sound odd, but you'll see that I'm correct here in a second. What this is going to do, this is going to scan for all the patterns, bearish, butterfly, bullish, Gartley, and all those things, on every pair that is in your platform on these time frames: 15, 30, 60, 240, daily and weekly. Now if you wanted to add the others you could, but this is enough for right now. I'm going to go through it real slow. Do not get overwhelmed if it takes you a day or two. You have to come back and look at it. It's easy. You're looking at it. The total thing, I mean, there's nothing below that. See, there's nothing down there. This is it. Every pair, every time frame, or at least these right here, and all the patterns. Okay, let me go back up here. At the top, all this is a name and that, nonsense there and all that. If you want to read on Eugene, he goes by Nen, N-E-N, and the ZUP indicators, and they're well worth reading up on, I think. And you can find him over on the MQ4 site. I think he used to be over there, and the username is Nen. He's posted all sorts of articles and all that kind of stuff, and they're worth reading. Now, to be honest with you, 50% of it is way over my head, but I get a lot from it, and you probably will too. But the guy is some kind of genius when it comes to math and geometry and all. So let's get to this. Like I said, these right here are of no consequence. Property show inputs. This is a script. It's got one variable that you can handle, that you can change. So you want to show the inputs. Second line, and I skipped a space. It's integer. When we scan every pair on every time frame, we need to know the time frames we're talking about. Here they are. So time frames, TFS. I generally write things where I can code it in my mind. So I'm just going init TFS for time frames and the array, and I'm assigning them 15 minute, 30, 60, like that. That's a little curly bracket thing, and you just put 15, comma, 30, comma, 60, comma, like that. If you want to put the 5 there, comma. If you want to put the monthly, 43,280, put a comma right there, and then 43,280. If you want to take one out, take it out plus the comma. Easy enough. Shouldn't be hard at all right there. That's your time frames. Now, when you're scanning, you need, if you don't have the code, the requirements in the script or expert advisor or indicator, you need to call something most often using iCustom. iCustom is like Zigzag or like Alma or TSR, all those things you've heard of before. And here's the name for it. We're calling this one right here the ZUP _93. Now there's a space and an H, and that's important, and I'll show you why in a minute. Extern string. String just means, you know, words and stuff like that. And I just called it by the name. The name of the indicator is the ZUP underscore 93 space H. Easy enough. Okay, let me skip down just a little. Now we get to the massive amount of code here. On start, there's a function in. We want to scan every pair on every time frame. There's a function in MetaTrader called symbols total. It will tell you how many symbols you have total. That's what this is telling us. So I got integer, int, count, the count of the symbols. Like I said, I keep it where I can read it, write it in my mind. So this might come back as 25 in my case. It might come back 22 in your case. You know, however many symbols you have, that's what it's going to tell us. And we need to know that count. The next one, another integer, is the TF size, time frame size. That's right here, these time frames. We need to know how many time frames we're looking at. So there's a function in MetaTrader called array size, and you just put in the array that you want to know the size of, TFS in this case, and it will return that size. And then we need the actual symbol name, like capital EURUSD, NZDCAD, and that sort of stuff. We need to know the symbol name. It's a string. And I could have wrote out the word symbol, but I just always write sim, stands for symbol. And it's blank in this case. You see right there, I don't have nothing there. So it's, you put the, whatever you call those things when you put, you know, I don't know what the heck you call them, parentheses or something. Not parentheses, but whatever you call them. You put those. You know how to do that. And that's it. You can memorize that with no trouble. Init count of the symbols, init TF size, time frame size, the size of how many you have up here, because you might have more than me, you might have less than me. You might change that if you want to, is what I'm getting at. And the symbol, like EURUSD. Now, this part might, if you've never seen code before, this part might be a little hard for you to grasp. It's not, you can though. Trust me, you can. These are just kind of like instructions. For init I, it's another integer. If init I equals 0, see that 0? For as long as I is less than count, what was count? Count was the total number of symbols. So let's just say in my case it's 25. If I is less than 25, I plus plus, that means add 1. So you first, I is going to be 0, and it is less than 25, so we're going to add 1. So now it's 1. You go back, I, which is now 1 now, it's less than 25, so you add another one, 2. Keep going all the way up to 25. And what that's doing, that is stepping through each pair in your symbols. See here, symbol. The first symbol name, in most platforms, the first symbol name is the EURUSD. So it comes back with the first one, EURUSD. Then it comes back with the second one, USDJPY. And it comes back with the third one. And it keeps going like that. And a lot of the things I code, I just spell them all out. But this way is easier for platforms that don't have the pairs that I'm using. You might not have the NZDCAD in your platform, and I might. So this way here gives the symbols in order in your platform. So it doesn't really matter if you change from broker to broker or whatever. Okay, so now right here what we're doing is we're stepping through the pairs one at a time. EUR USD, USD JPY, and so on. EUR JPY, I think is the next one. Now, remember, we're testing every pair and every time frame. So the first pair we chose was the EUR USD. This right here is doing technically the same thing, except it is choosing these. So first it takes the 15-minute, and as long as J is less than the TF size, time frame size, which we've already calculated here, this is calculated. As long as it's less than 6, it's going to add 1. So it's going to go 0. Let me go up here. It's going to go 0, which is a 15. It's going to go 1, which is a 30. It's going to go 2, which is a 60. It's going to step through them one at a time. Now, here you have double, and I just called it ZUP. And that is iCustom. The symbol is being chose by this. The first one is going to be EUR USD. The time frame is being chose by this. First one is going to be the 15-minute, followed by the 30. The name is the name of our indicator right here. And buffer 0 and 1. I will talk more about that in another video. This is very important, but just for right now, just take this at face value. So what this is doing, you can see that's extremely small amount of code. You can memorize that. Not only can you memorize it, once you get it square in your head that you're stepping through the symbols and you're stepping through the time frames and inserting those pairs and those time frames here, it'll become clear. So basically, right here, on the first run, we substituted in the Euro USD, we substituted in the 15-minute, and because I've got the name up there listed, we substituted in this, and you can see the 0 and the 1. Now, a lot of times people will be thinking that you need to put in all the variables. You know, in the case of you see the zigzag, this is iCustom also, Euro USD, 15-minute. Name of the indicator in this case is zigzag. You know the common settings, 12, 5, 3. So you put those in some sort of fashion. In the case of the ZUP indicators, Nin has probably got an IQ of 200. He has about 300 inputs. So you'd be sitting here typing in these inputs for forever. And then you're going to screw 3 or 4 of them up. And, you know, you'll never get it right. So in a case like that, you can just put 0 and 1. The buffer and the 1. And it will by default go to whatever settings the indicator has as defaults. Alright. Probably confused the heck out of you with that, but just think about it for a little bit. Okay, let me compile this because I evaporated. Okay, so here we go right here. That's it. Now let me drop down if I can. Okay, good. Alright. Now on my platform, I have that script that we were just looking at. I hope it's Control N. Let me see here. Control N. Yep, there it is. See, there's that name that I was talking about. ZUP space underscore 93 space H. I'll explain more about that later. That's the only input on this thing. You remember, the time frames, they weren't changeable in the inputs. All right, let's hit OK. And what's going to happen, it's going to scan through. It's going to step through the pairs 1, 2, 3, you know, Euro USD and all like that. It's going to step through the time frames, and you're going to start seeing them zooming through here, and then also there's going to be alerts zooming through here, and it'll tell you what it found. Okay, so let's go. Oh, dadgummit. I always leave that sound on too loud. Okay, you see that bearish butterfly, CAD JPY, on and on and on and on. And you can see it's doing all sorts of stuff up here on the chart. Just ignore that. And it's putting them down here also. And it's doing some other stuff too that I'll talk about in another video. But right now it's stepping through every pair, every time frame. If you looked fast, you could see 15, 30, 60, you know, 42, you know, like that. It's going through them one at a time. Now, the reason why you have to use ZUP_93H is because almost all of the ZUP indicators have a divide by 0 error. So you have to correct that error. Let me see here. Let's see here. Alt-N. Okay, this is NIN's original code right here, Alt-N. You see all these things here you'd have to be typing in all them colors and all that kind of stuff. You know, in this case here, don't do it. Just put a 0 and a 1. All right, watch. See there? 0 divide error. And there's more than one. It says 3650. There's actually more than one. Okay, now let's go to Control, or no, Alt H, and that's for mine. I've corrected it. Now I don't want to say corrected his code, but I've changed it up to where it doesn't do the 0 divide. And there you see now there's no 0 divide on this. And on the, let's see, what was it, this? Yeah, there we go. Now, if let's see, let me scroll back through here. What are we on? Euro JPY. Dang, that's gonna be way back there in the front. You know, I got a bearish butterfly on the 240. This is what we were just scanning. Okay, EUR JPY. Where's 240 at? Right there. One pattern found, bearish butterfly. Right there. And there would have been an alert also if we'd have scrolled back here, wherever, oops, 240 bearish butterfly. So it's going to show it there, and it's going to show it there. But anyway, the important part of this is this. You could see how with, I mean, what, less than 40 lines of code, and I put in double lines in some spots. We could crank it down smaller than that. We scanned every pair on these time frames, and if you'd have put the 5, you wouldn't want to put the minute in there, but if you'd have put the 5 and the monthly, it wouldn't have added hardly nothing. I'll post this code. I've already got it posted over on, I'm almost certain I've got it posted on enivids site, earnforex.com. I'll post this code on forexfactory in the code section, and I need to really make another video, several more actually, couple more, to explain this a little bit better. And then what I will do, I will take and put in here how to, if you've got some, if you want to scan for a MAC cross on every single pair, or an ALMA cross on every single pair, I'll put that in here and show you how to do that. It's the exact same thing. And you could sit there and actually scan. You can actually scan every pair on every time frame, every indicator out there almost in hardly no time at all, with not much more code than this right here. But anyway, if it looks like it's interesting to some people, I'll go further with it. If it's no interest, well then, you know, I got other stuff to do too. But for now, that'll do it.